Honestly, Jamaican people are some of the most interesting people on the planet. Especially with the way they speak patois and shit, like the way they say it in such a vulgar way. I was actually asking myself how it is that some of them would sound with a lisp. Because imagine a Jamaican walking up to you, they have a lisp and they're like, "Suck your mother." Because it's gonna come out and it'll be like, "Fuck your mother." And it's not gonna sound as vigorous no more.
Get ready for the battle of the sexes.
Like on the real though, I've genuinely been asking myself that question because like a Jamaican with a lisp is automatically like 5 times less vulgar and 5 times less arrogant and aggressive as the normal other ones usually are whenever they talk. At least that's just from my perspective. But like it's been a pretty interesting thought, especially since I've been having a lot of these discussions from like the past episode where I was talking about the sex talk with a lisp and the cum faces and shit. Cause like I was talking to like two babes and they were both asking me, why the hell would you have a problem with a cum face? Oh, having a straight face is weird because you're not as vulnerable and it's not a good thing. And it's like you're overthinking everything. And I'm like, as niggas, the minute we become vulnerable to you guys, y'all end up taking advantage of that shit. Like it's not even nice. Like, yes, I get it. You like it when we become vulnerable. But guess what? We won't just be vulnerable to you at that time. We'll be vulnerable to your friends because after you're done with us, you're going to go to your friends. That's probably part of the reason why I tend to have issues with a lot of this shit. But anyways, there's no instrumental in the background, so we pretty much have to do the thing, right? Welcome to Break Time on West Side, your number one break time podcast, coming to you from Nairobi, Kenya. The man on the mic is a man who has been waiting to meet a Jamaican with a lisp. He is a man that still wonders why the chicken crossed the road, yet KFC is on the better side of town. He is none other than your tall, dark, and mildly handsome man, Sir Denver B. The show is Battle of the Sexes, your weekly love, sex, and relationship show, where we take a nice deep dive into a lot of the things that you guys do and just make fun of them for some reason. Now, today's episode is pretty much all about the money. And to be completely honest with you guys, it was not planned out. Like, I did not decide this from like a couple of days or a couple of weeks ago. This one happened as a matter of coincidence. And let me start from where the coincidence started. So, Dr. Dre's divorce has been happening. They've been having the court proceedings as usual and so on and so forth. And you know, it's been a back and forth, been a pretty interesting one. And as usual, as the world, we're all here for it. We all want to know whether Nicole Young, aka Dr. Dre's current ex, is gonna walk away with some of that money. And the most interesting thing came out over the weekend, actually about a day or two ago, when sources said that Dr. Dre's ex-wife has asked for around 1.9 to 2 mil a month for temporary spousal support. Now, considering that this woman, before she got married to Dr. Dre, was worth about 13 million US, I'm kind of wondering where all that money is coming from. So there's a breakdown of what exactly she requires, which costs that much. Now, laundry and cleaning is $10,000 a month. Clothes is $135,000 a month. Like, what the fuck are you buying clothes for worth $135,000 a month? Like, some of us buy clothes once and we don't bother buying clothes for the rest of the year. Anyways, education, which is tuition and living expenses, is $60,000 a month. Probably the only one that makes sense here. Entertainment, $900,000 a month. I'm wondering what the fuck she's doing that with. Charitable contributions, $125,000 a month. Mortgage, $100,000 a month. Telephone, cell phone, email is $20,000 a month. Now, you know what? I am straight up going to question these bills because some of them don't make sense. Because the first one, charitable contributions, 125,000 a month. Let me ask you all a very simple question. When the fuck did charitable contributions become a necessary thing? Like, we are required to at least try and help people in the course of our lives. It's not like it's supposed to be a monthly thing. It's not like it's one of those things that you have to factor in when you're deciding to pay tithe, if you're Christian and all that, or if you're Muslim, I think. Like, I don't think it's one of those things that you're required to really, really think about and take too seriously. Like, it's one of those things where if you can, you should. If you can't, you don't need to break your back doing it. But please explain to me why the fuck it is $125,000 is required in terms of spousal contributions for charity. Like, this is one of the things why I say that we are being defrauded as a species. Like, this is bullshit. Next one, $900,000 a month on entertainment. Who the fuck spends close to $1 million a month on entertainment? Like, what are you entertaining yourself on? If it's movie tickets, I'm sure you can buy out the entire cinema to just watch a movie of your choosing with probably 1% of this? Like, I'm sure $9,000 can get you free access to a cinema, I think probably at least like 2-3 times a week for like a straight month. But anyways, let's even move it on a little bit. Clothes, $135,000 a month. I'm looking at this shit and I'm wondering, fine, yes, maybe you have your Louis Vuitton bags, probably you have a bit of Birkin purses you want to buy here and there. But I'm still wondering, like, don't you have enough that you can like just leave that aside and give it like, I don't know, 6 months before you go start buying shit? But $135,000 a month for this shit. Like, this is part of the reason why I don't think she's gonna get that money, because she clearly just looks like she's trying to milk this nigga dry. Yes, he sold Beats by Dre and he made a cool 3.2 bill, and obviously that money has to be split, there's taxation and shit, so the guy must have made out with at least 800 to a bill US. So the guy was just a little bit shy of being a billionaire. But still, are you gonna tell me that just because she's been with him for all these years, she deserves all this money? Like, this is part of the reason why I have problems with just the court system and divorces in general. This is part of the reason why a lot of niggas don't want to get married, because clearly someone's gonna come up with some randomized cost that probably doesn't make sense just so that they can milk some shit out of you. But anyways, you know what? I am not going to take half of this podcast just discussing this. There's something else that I do want to discuss. Now, this one came from one of our fans. Mad shout out to Wilson. He sent me this clip, so I managed to go get it off of YouTube. And I want you to listen to it real quick. And then I'm going to comment on what I think about it.
If you have a lot of money and you go broke, and I've been there through the struggle, and I personally feel that you have a legitimate reason to be broke, and I have a validation to believe that you will seek wealth again, then I'll hold you down. If you're broke when I meet you, you don't stand a chance. Because...
What's broke to you? What is define broke?
You make less than double what I make.
Less than double.
Yes.
Okay.
It's not a shit ton.
Okay.
But you should be making double what I make. That being said, it's because I've held broke men down. I've been played by broke men.
Okay.
And personally, it doesn't pay off. So I won't do it again. And it is what it is. It's not hard to find someone who makes twice what I make. I personally attract people who make like a whole spectrum. That being said, if you are broke and I choose to deal with you, I will belittle you. It is what it is. And I reserve the right to do that. And also, if you want to cheat at your own risk, I'm apt to ghost you. And it is what it is, because men who make more money than me, they treat me with that same power dynamic, right? Like, I know that...
So that's fair? You think that's okay?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
But it's a way of life.
Honestly, the audacity of the bullshit with this woman. Hell, Shorty is called Kelsey. Shorty is fine. Like, I was looking at the video and first thing I thought was, damn, Shorty is pretty as hell. But she opened her mouth and I'm like, fuck that nigga. Like, I'd better 5 alive this shit on my own. Like, What kind of thought process is that? Like, I get the whole idea with, you know what, if you're broke, I won't date you. Like, I can get it. But you come in and you say that your definition of broke is less than 2 times what you make. So, like, if you make 100K and he makes 150, do you still classify him as broke? Like, this is weird. Like, this is a very weird human being. Because normally you'd find that someone who just makes more than you generally is what you'd probably not call broke. Like, if the person makes, generally someone who made less than you is someone that you could call broke. But this thing of I'm still making more than you and you're calling me broke, it don't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. Now, in as much as I do want to lose my shits on this, babe, it's not the final bit. I want to add like a small bit in there just so that I can go in properly, because like I feel as though like there's just something wrong here. So just listen to this other bit.
Women like financial stability.
Yes.
Men don't care about that because a lot of times men are always the breadwinner.
You date down.
80% of the time, men are the breadwinners, or they're at equal level at the same time. Men don't care about that. If a man meets a woman and she's struggling or she's going through something, if she has a good heart and we see the potential in her and she can,
If she has a good heart or if she has a fat ass.
No, if
If
a
she has
woman,
a fat ass or some fat titties, or if she gives the pussy up quick, you guys love her.
that ain't
Pay her
shit.
bills.
That
You'll
ain't
buy
shit.
her some Louis.
That ain't shit. Pussy is pussy.
Alright, so I'm gonna be completely honest about this. I absolutely hate, like I loathe her mentality. I loathe how she thinks. But I am not going to lie, out of everything that she said, I probably agree with like a small 10% of it. Like there's this useless way of thinking that some of these women have that pretty much makes them sound like her. Because there's this thing where it's like, oh, if you don't make more than me, if you don't do this, if you don't do that, if you don't have all this money, then there's nothing that's gonna happen between the two of us. And for some reason, it's like they end up complaining a couple of years down the line, oh, why can't I get a guy? Oh, there are no good guys out here. Oh, why can't I find my dream man? Well, probably because your dream man was called broke by you, and then you pretty much decided not to give him a chance, and then eventually he went up and he chose someone else. Like, this is probably part of the reason why I've always had a problem with having the whole finance discussion, because in a sense I feel as though I'm just gonna end up stepping on a lot of people's toes, because there's this thing of, oh, we don't just look at the money and this and that. But the truth is, you kind of do. Ladies, y'all pay attention to a nigga's money. If the nigga ain't making money, then you're probably not going to consider him. Even those sapiosexuals that like to come up and say, oh, I don't value the looks. Oh, I value someone's intellectual capability, blah, blah, blah. Even y'all pay attention to this shit. Because even from as early as like the campus days, the uni days, the college days, how many guys that weren't making that much, that were pretty much looking like they were pretty much all beaten down and shit, when they were smart and all, when these guys were busy rocking the A's and getting the fucking distinctions and the credits and shit, when did y'all ever approach them and be like, I love that mind and I want to date you? At no point did you go for a broke smart nigga simply because he was smart. Y'all went for a guy that had some level of net worth. They looked like they were either on your level or a little bit above or even way above, and you just so happen to have considered the fact that they're smart. Now, am I saying that going for someone because they have money is a bad thing? No, it's perfectly normal. It's a matter of nature. Women have always gone for more resourceful men from the get-go, because more resourceful men are further up in the hierarchy, and thus it makes for a lot better offspring. In the sense of 1, genetics, in the sense of 2, they're most likely going to be provided for, and 3, they're probably gonna come out better and probably smarter kids. When you look at the money and you look at it as the primary factor, then now that becomes a problem. Because when you just look at the money, when you're saying, oh, I want a nigga that makes this much more than me, I want a guy that makes this much money. This is why I start having an issue, because if I don't make as much as you, but I've probably, made sure that I've set up investments and shit, I have a pretty good savings plan and everything, does that mean that I'm any less of a guy? Does that mean that I'm any less worthy of being a good boyfriend? And the thing is, it just makes it, look a lot worse than it probably is. Then there's this thing that she said where she was busy talking about how if she's dating you and you're quote unquote broke according to her, she's going to belittle you. Like, that is the worst. And I have to repeat this, that is the worst mentality I have seen in the realm of women and gold digging and wanting niggas with money. Like, honestly, that is the worst level I've seen it at. Because here's the thing, whenever guys have a lot of money, yes, some of them will use the money as an excuse to treat you like shit. They exist. Like, arrogant people who've become arrogant because of the money, they exist. Like, that's across the board. They're always there. But does that mean that every guy that makes money starts to control you and belittle you and treat you like shit and cheat on you simply because they have money? No. Fuck no. That's not even how it works. Look, the thing is, when a guy has a lot of money, then obviously he's gonna have a lot more options. Because the way you're calling a nigga broke because he's not making twice as much as you, that's someone who's gonna be making 10 times. So between the 9th time all the way down to you, there's a whole horde of women that want him. So probably he goes and he dates you. He decides that, I'm gonna date this babe, I wanna be with you as a long-term partner. And then while all of that's happening, there's like 30, 40, 50 other babes that have seen this nigga and they're like, you know what? I don't just want a nigga like him, I want him. So boom, all of a sudden, this guy has too many options. This guy can pretty much go and hit just about any babe he wants simply because they've seen what he has to offer and they're like, you know what? I want that. But no, y'all think that us guys choose to belittle you because we have the money. It's not because we have the money, it's because a nigga suddenly got options from nothing. But here's the worst part out of all of this. I, at no point, and I kid you not, like this entire clip, like this entire YouTube video is about 38 minutes. At no point did I hear her say what she brings to the table. Just the same way this guy was saying it, I will sort of echo his words. Titties, ass, and pussy do not mean shit when it comes to a relationship. Like, guys genuinely don't want that in a relationship. Fine, yes, it's what'll get us to you, but it's not what'll keep us there. Like, I've always sort of tried to tell people that when it comes to the looks department, the looks only good for like the first 5-10 minutes. Because after that, it's what's in your head that's there. And yes, you can hold a nice full set of jugs, you can hold a nice ass, but if you can't hold a conversation, then there's nothing that we really can hold between the both of us besides, good fucking. And most people usually like to think that because they have good pussy or because they have good ass, they think that they can actually offer a lot in a relationship. Like, pussy is pussy. We genuinely can get that shit from just about anyone else. And if we want a partner, for us as guys, I will say this for a fact, we mostly just want love and loyalty. It's mostly those two things. Yes, the looks do matter, but love and loyalty comes paramount. And the problem is, a lot of women are going to continue jumping to this conclusion that, you know what, if it's a guy with money, I'd rather a guy with money that mistreats me than a guy without money. Like, yo, honestly, I'd probably advise you to take someone with a little less money that'll treat you like an amazing person, that'll treat you like the queen that you feel you deserve to be treated, that he feels should deserve the best treatment in the world, and just ride with them. This whole thing of saying that a nigga makes less than you is broken shit and you wouldn't date them and you'd belittle them is probably part of the reason why a lot of guys just don't want to get into a relationship with a lot of these babes. Now, I am going to be honest though. When it comes to the whole dating game, I don't think people need to be dating when they're broke. Like, if you're not making money that's able to sustain you and help you at least thrive, I don't think y'all should be dating. As a certain wise man once said, if you're broke, you shouldn't be dating, you should be focused. And when I think about it, that's mainly because for you as a person, when you're broke, you need to be focusing on being productive and making money, because relationships are an investment. You invest time, you invest money. Some of it might not be yours, but the time definitely will include yours. And y'all will end up spending on stuff that you probably wouldn't have spent on if you were single. And for the most part, especially if you're like done with school, if you're trying to get out into the world, work your ass off and build something for yourself, there's not that far that the both of y'all are going. Yes, back in the day, the both of y'all coming together and you're both broke and building yourselves is something that was sweet and something that was very viable. But right now, my niggas, just go and make your shit. Worry about the babes later. Because honestly, if you think that you can go and try get a babe while you're broke and sustain her and marry her, bruh, I'm not gonna lie to you. Someone else with more money, with more connections, that probably looks better, might just walk around, swoop in, pick your shorty and leave with her. Like, that's just the truth of the matter. I'm not saying this to demean anyone's relationship or to say that people's relationships are going to end. By all means, if you want to do that shit, it's entirely up to you. But you do need to work on building yourself. Like, build yourself as a person, build yourself independently, make sure you can grow and thrive first before you start worrying about trying to get into a relationship. Because honestly, if there's people that think like this woman, then we're in for a bad one as niggas in the dating pool. And also, considering that as men we are required to be resourceful by nature, we do need to make sure that we are set to be the providers in our homes. Like, if there's any time when I'm trying to speak some sense into y'all, it's now. Go get your shit first. Go make sure you've built something for yourself first before you start worrying about getting into a relationship. Like, that shit ain't even worth it. And this piece of advice applies to both men and women. With women, it's a little bit more lenient. Y'all can go and fool around and shit, because there's a pretty good chance that there's a guy that'll take care of you. But for guys, this one is pretty strict. Go and work on building yourself first. Anyways, I want to know your thoughts, comments, and feedback on this. And also, mad shout out to Willow who sent this to me. As usual, if you have any ideas, any topics that you'd want us to discuss, the DMs are open. At Breaktime on Westside is the handle to go to on IG. On Facebook as well, it is at Breaktime on Westside. And on Twitter, if you want to slide into my DMs there, it is at Bagaka the D. The B and the D are capital. I will catch you guys on the next break. Take care.